Hello and welcome to this Roadrunner Photography Tours tutorial on a feature that's recently been added to Lightroom that's pretty cool, which is a HDR merge pano. So let's explore how this works. Hopefully this image will work out fairly well. But so first and foremost, you need to actually shoot for this. Now, I tend to just do 3 images in my brackets. Everybody's got their sort of own way of doing it. I have found with my camera, which is a Fuji H1, XH1, I get away with 3. I don't often go to HDR when I do this, but the 3 images themselves gives me a good option for single image to work on. But every now and then I choose to do the HDR process, and historically you would have to go through, for every segment of the pano, you would have to have blended your bracketed images. So if you took 5 segments, you'd have five images at the end, 5 HDR images with whatever number of brackets you had. And so in my case, it would be 3 to 1, 3 to 1, 3 to 1 until I had all 5 images done. Then I would have to take the 5 HDR files and make them into one pano. But there's this cool trick that they've added, and I'm going to show you how it works. So here you see a series of images. Here's the first image, second image, third image, fourth image, and so on, all the way down to this end gate and the final image. So there's quite a few images involved, 3 brackets each. Now I will tell you that I didn't use a pano rail. I handheld this, eyed it, and just went with it because I figured along the way I'd find an image or 2 that I cared about, and if the pano worked, great. So it was kind of a spur of the moment stop, and this is, although looks like a castle, is a residence, and I didn't want to stand out there very long. So it was all handheld and eyeballing. So we're going to pick the first one, which is this 1104 file, and we're going to hold down the shift key in Lightroom till I get down to this very final image here, which is 1143. Make sure I didn't miss anything. Oh, and I did. So I actually need to get all the way down through that bracket. So we're going to go to 1145. So now that I've got everything selected, I'm going to right click. Make sure that when you do right click that you're inside one of the thumbnails. And you'll see here where it says photo merge. And if you hover, you get HDR, you get Pano, and then you get HDR Panorama. And that's new. So we've always had the HDR and we've always had a Panorama, but now we have HDR Panorama. So we're going to go ahead and select that, and we get it starts to create the image, and it's going to show us what that's going to look like. Now that actually went pretty fast because I did try this before to make sure that it would actually result in an image, and so it's got a memory of it. But you can see that it went through and it merged everything, it HDR'd everything, and it merged everything. And now we would just hit merge and let the program run. So it's going to take a few minutes. I'm going to go ahead and pause the video while that's happening. Okay, so now that Lightroom is done HDRing and merging everything, here is our file. And they've done actually a really good job. And you know, there was an S-curve in the road. That's why I actually stopped to shoot part of this. The wall itself is a little bit bowed, and it actually kind of was because it came around from the back of the house to the, you know, kind of across the street at an angle and then forward down the road. So that all kind of sort of makes sense. And what you would do now at this point is actually just right click, edit, or at least I would, and take it into Photoshop. I prefer to do my editing in Photoshop, so this is where I would go to do the work, but if you wanted to, you certainly could use Lightroom now to process the image. I'm not going to sit here and process this image to completion, but I did want to just show you that this feature does exist. So if you tend to do bracketing for HDR and you like to shoot panos, Lightroom can now do all this work for you, which is absolutely brilliant. So go out and experiment.